Let me begin with something that sounds almost childish, but turns out to be one of the most dangerous questions you can ask in physics. Why does anything exist at all? Not how it works, not how we calculate it, but why there is something instead of nothing. Most people never ask this question seriously. They assume existence is the default. Of course things exist. Look around. Chairs exist, stars exist, you exist. So what's the mystery? But that assumption is already wrong, because when you look closely, and I mean really closely, you start to notice something unsettling. The universe does not prefer existence. It does not favor stability. It does not even seem particularly interested in keeping things around. In fact, most of what the universe does looks like an attempt to erase structure. Stars burn themselves out. Atoms fall apart under extreme conditions. Order slowly dissolves into disorder. So the real mystery is not why things end. The mystery is why they ever begin. Feynman liked questions like that, not because he had easy answers, but because the question itself exposes how shallow our usual explanations are. We say things like, "That's just how nature is," and then we stop thinking. But nature never asked us to stop thinking. So let's start again from a very simple observation. Nothing is ever truly at rest. Not the chair you're sitting on, not the air in the room, not the ground beneath your feet. Everything is moving, vibrating, fluctuating, adjusting. And yet somehow this restless motion produces things that feel solid, stable, dependable. That alone should make you suspicious. Because stability made out of motion sounds like a contradiction. Imagine watching a crowd of people constantly walking in different directions, and somehow that chaos forms a perfectly straight wall that doesn't collapse. You'd want to know how that trick works. Physics is full of tricks like that. Now here's the part that quietly changed everything when Feynman explained it. The universe does not build things by stopping motion. It builds things by balancing motion against itself. Atoms don't exist because particles sit still. They exist because particles are trapped in a constant negotiation, a tug-of-war that never ends but never fully resolves. Electrons are not little balls parked around a nucleus. That picture is comforting, but it's wrong in a deep way. If electrons behaved the way everyday objects do, atoms would collapse instantly. They don't. Why not? Not because nature is gentle, not because particles want to stay apart, but because confinement itself has a cost. Trying to pin something down, to force it into a tiny space, demands energy, and nature is extremely sensitive to that cost. This is where common sense fails. In everyday life, holding something still feels easy. You grab a cup, you place it on a table, done. But at very small scales, holding something still is not easy at all. It's expensive. The tighter you try to confine motion, the more the system pushes back. So atoms exist not because motion disappears, but because motion refuses to be eliminated. That's a very different way of thinking. Stability is not the absence of motion. Stability is motion that has nowhere better to go. Feynman loved that idea because it strips away the illusion of permanence. Everything you see is temporary, even if it lasts billions of years. It's all a kind of compromise. And compromises are fragile. Now let's zoom out for a moment. The same principle that keeps electrons from falling into nuclei also shows up everywhere else. Planets don't fall straight into stars. Stars don't instantly collapse under their own weight. Galaxies don't freeze into perfect shapes. Every structure you admire exists because opposing tendencies keep each other in check. Gravity pulls inward. Motion resists. Attraction gathers things together. Pressure pushes back. Order forms, but only because disorder is not allowed to win completely. This is not harmony, it's tension, and tension, it turns out, is productive. This is where physics stops sounding like a list of facts and starts sounding like a lesson about reality itself. We are uncomfortable with tension. We try to resolve it. We want final answers, permanent solutions, absolute certainty. But the universe doesn't operate that way. It never settles, it never finishes, it never arrives. It only balances for a while. And the reason this explanation changed physics is that it replaced the idea of static building blocks with the idea of dynamic processes. Things are not made of stuff that sits there. They are made of activity that holds together. Matter is not a noun, it's a verb. Once you see that, you can't unsee it. The solid world becomes something much stranger, a dance that looks frozen only because it's moving too fast or too subtly for our senses to track. And now we're ready for the uncomfortable part. If everything exists because of delicate balance, then existence itself is fragile. It could fail, it could have failed. And at many points in cosmic history, it almost did. That realization should make you pause, because it means the universe is not guaranteed, and neither are we. In the next part, we'll go deeper into what this instability really means, why the universe seems to tolerate just enough imbalance to create structure, and why perfect order would have meant nothing at all. That's where things stop being merely interesting and start becoming unsettling. Now let's sit with that idea for a moment, because it's easy to nod along and miss how strange it really is. If existence depends on balance, and balance depends on opposing tendencies, then the universe is not built on certainty, it's built on a kind of ongoing argument. Nothing ever fully wins. That means the universe is not a finished product. It's more like a process that hasn't made up its mind yet. And this is where Feynman would usually smile, because people expect physics to give solid answers. But instead, it gives you something slipperier, conditions. Not rules carved in stone. Not guarantees. Just conditions under which things can hang together. For a while, think about a spinning top. As long as it's spinning fast enough, it stands upright. It looks stable. But that stability is an illusion created by motion. The moment the spin slows down, gravity wins and the top collapses. Atoms are like that. Stars are like that. You are like that. Everything that exists is standing upright only because it hasn't stopped spinning yet. Not literally spinning in every case, but constantly doing something to resist collapse. This leads to a disturbing conclusion. If motion is essential for existence, then perfect stillness would mean annihilation. A universe with no motion would not be peaceful. It would be empty. This is why the idea of a perfectly calm, perfectly balanced universe is actually terrifying, because perfect balance means nothing changes, and nothing that doesn't change can exist as a thing. Existence requires tension. It requires imbalance. It requires a little bit of restlessness built into reality itself. That's not philosophy sneaking into physics. That's physics forcing philosophy to keep up. Feynman understood this better than most because he refused to hide behind fancy words. He kept asking, what is it actually doing? Not what do we call it, not how do we calculate it, but what is really happening. And when you ask that question, honestly, you start to see that particles don't behave like objects. They behave like possibilities trying to avoid being pinned down. They spread out, they explore, they resist confinement. And when you try to trap them into behaving like solid little things, they push back harder. So atoms exist because the universe refuses to let motion disappear. It refuses to allow absolute stillness. The cost of freezing motion is simply too high. Now zoom out again further than before. This same logic applies to the entire universe. After the universe began, however that happened, it was hot, dense, violent, and wildly unstable. Nothing resembling atoms could exist. Everything was too energetic, too restless, too extreme. And yet, as expansion happened, as things cooled just enough, a narrow window opened. Not a guarantee, a window. In that window, particles could begin their long negotiations. Forces could balance, structures could form. If the universe had expanded slightly faster, matter would never have clumped. If it had expanded slightly slower, everything would have collapsed back into chaos. Existence balanced on a knife's edge. This is not poetic exaggeration. It's a factual description of how sensitive reality is to its conditions, which raises an uncomfortable question. Why this balance? Why not nothing? Why not chaos forever? Feynman was careful here. He didn't pretend to know the final answer. Anyone who claims they do is lying, to you or to themselves. But he did point out something profound. The universe does not appear to be optimized. D for comfort, or beauty, or even life. It appears to be optimized for consistency, not stability, consistency. The rules hold even when the outcomes are messy, the balances repeat, the patterns recur, not because they're designed to, but because once a workable balance appears, it tends to reproduce itself. Atoms form atoms. Stars make heavier elements. Those elements make planets. Those planets occasionally make curious creatures who ask why any of this exists. Not because the universe planned it, but because once motion organizes itself in a stable enough loop, it can keep going. That's a very different picture from the comforting idea that the universe is built out of solid foundations. There are no foundations, only ongoing processes that haven't failed yet. And here's where this becomes deeply personal, whether we like it or not. Your body feels solid, but it's not. Your thoughts feel continuous, but they are not. Your identity feels stable, but it's constantly renegotiated. You exist the same way atoms exist, by balance, not permanence. Remove the motion, the exchange, the internal activity, and the structure disappears. So when physics tells us that nothing is ever truly still, it's not just describing particles. It's describing the price of existence. Stillness is too simple for reality. Reality requires motion to stay real. In the next part, we'll confront the most unsettling implication of all, that this balance is temporary, that the universe knows how to build things but not how to keep them forever, and that understanding this doesn't make life meaningless, it makes it urgent. Now let's face the part people usually avoid because it sounds uncomfortable. If atoms exist only because balance is temporarily maintained, then nothing built from atoms is permanent either. Not mountains, not stars, not you. This isn't pessimism, it's honesty. Feynman loved this kind of honesty because it strips away fake comfort and replaces it with something stronger, clarity. The universe is not a museum where objects are placed and preserved. It's a workshop where things are constantly being assembled and disassembled. Sometimes the process is slow enough that we mistake it for permanence. A mountain looks eternal to a human lifetime. A human looks eternal to a mayfly. An atom looks eternal to a heartbeat. But zoom out far enough, and every one of these is just a temporary arrangement of motion. Even the atoms themselves are not guaranteed to last forever. They rely on conditions. Conditions can change. Stars burn through their balance and collapse. Galaxies stretch and thin out. The universe itself keeps expanding, quietly pulling things apart. So why bother building anything at all? Why does the universe go through all this trouble if everything is going to dissolve eventually? That question sounds philosophical, but physics forces it on us. And the answer, strangely enough, is that the universe doesn't care about lasting forever. It only cares about what can exist right now under current conditions. Atoms exist because they can, not because they must. Life exists because it can, not because it was promised. Meaning appears not because the universe guarantees it, but because complexity has room to arise before balance breaks again. This changes how you see fragility. Fragility is not a flaw. It's the signet. You're of something real. Only things that exist temporarily can be interesting. Only things that can fall apart can have structure. Only things that can end can have stories. Feynman once hinted at this without turning it into poetry. He said that understanding how something works doesn't make it less beautiful. It makes it more astonishing. Knowing that atoms shouldn't exist, and yet do, makes everything built from them feel like a kind of miracle without magic. No divine exception, no special treatment, just a universe clever enough to keep itself busy for a while. And here's the part that quietly rewires your thinking. If atoms exist because the universe allows a narrow balance between forces, then curiosity exists for the same reason. Consciousness exists for the same reason. Wonder exists for the same reason. They are not accidents, they are consequences. When matter becomes complex enough, it starts asking questions about itself. Not because it's required to, but because nothing forbids it. You are the universe experiencing its own instability. You are atoms briefly arranged in a way that can notice atoms. And that's why this question, why atoms exist, matters so much more than it seems, because it's really asking something else. Why does anything get a chance at all? Why is there room for patterns instead of pure chaos? Physics doesn't answer this with purpose or intention. It answers it with constraints, with balances, with rules that don't care what they produce, only whether they are obeyed. And somehow, obeying those rules produces music, memory, laughter, fear, curiosity, and the strange urge to understand where it all came from. Atoms don't exist because the universe wanted stability. They exist because perfect instability destroys itself too quickly, and perfect stability never gets started. So reality lives in between, restless, unfinished, and always moving. That's why nothing is ever truly at rest. That's why atoms hum with motion even at their calmest. That's why the universe looks solid only when you stop asking questions. And that's why asking questions is the most natural thing you can do, because the universe itself never stopped asking how far it could go without falling apart. And for now, just for now, the answer is far enough to let you be here, listening, thinking, wondering why any of this exists at all, not forever, but long enough to matter. And maybe that's the most honest kind of meaning the universe could offer.